Hi folks, welcome to this week's Inside Track with Scottish Sun. Got Jim Delahunt here in the gym. We've got a huge weekend of racing. Start off at Newbury with the Coral Gold Cup. We're going to get through this programme without saying the H word. What a fantastic race it is, isn't it?
It's absolutely brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to it. I was looking through, we've looked through it all week, but I was looking through it again for the column on Thursday. I was looking through it after the declarations. I was looking through it again this morning, and I think this is the steeplechase of the season so far. I know it's a handicap, it's not a grade one like last week's race at Haydock, but it's a really fantastic race, and so many of these so-called handicappers could be grade two, grade one horses by the turn of the year and even March and April. And one of them, which we'll come to very shortly, is trained in Scotland. We haven't had a Scottish trained winner of this race, the Coral Gold Cup, since way back in 1979 when Ken Oliver sent, I think it was Even Melody, down to win at Newbury. But I Right's gone close since for Heather Galbraith. And I think that Harriet Graham, rather, not Heather Galbraith, Harriet Graham, I Right was placed in the race a few years ago, but it's a real chance for Lucinda Russell and now, of course, Michael Scudamore to get their names on that famous trophy because Myretown, I think we both agree, Robert, has a fantastic chance at Newbury on Saturday.
Yeah, he's just got the perfect profile for the race, doesn't he? Second season chaser. He's the right age. He's the right weight band. His running style. If they run him the same way that when they
Yeah,
won the Ultima, he's just ticks so many boxes. The one thing that concerns me a little bit is the lack of a run. Although you saw him at Ayr for a
yeah.
racecourse gallop. Apparently he's been for two elsewhere, so that's three racecourse gallops. But I mean, the change of jockey as well, Jim. Are you surprised that Patrick Wadge isn't on? I mean, he's up at Newcastle riding Wild Bucks for JP McManus. He got so much praise for the way he rode the race at Cheltenham, just went out in front, let the horse bowl along. He's off the horse. Derek Fox is back on it. Derek, who had ridden the horse, it was his ride before Cheltenham. But are you surprised at that? Does that change the dynamic at all, do you think?
It's an interesting one. Derek has his critics, but we can't forget that Derek's won two Grand Nationals. And to all intents and purposes, he is the number one jockey in that yard. And if you've got a horse going for a £250,000 race at Newbury and he can do the weight, I suppose you could argue it would look odd if he wasn't on it. So we shall see the tactics employed by Myretown on Saturday. But Lucinda Russell, interestingly, did an interview this week. A lot of the interviews are done by Peter Scudamore and more recently Michael. But Lucinda did an interview this week and she was quite adamant that the horse would be ridden very prominently. And I think all of us who've seen this horse run and jump think it has to be ridden that way. So I don't think Derek will be sitting out at the back coming late with this one. I think he's got to be up there in the van. And I'm not saying he has to lead, but he's got to be up there in the first five or six going out onto the second circuit to have every chance. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I mean, I want to see him put out in front, just let him run. I mean, I like front runners at this track anyway. Just
Yeah,
basically do exactly the same as what they did in the Ultima and just see if anybody can catch him. But this race is full of dangers, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
there's Glendon Gray, who won at Carlisle, got the cheek pieces back on. You would think that one will go very close. Sean Bowen, arguably the best jockey in the race.
yeah,
So that one's a big danger. Three Card Bragg is a big improver, won at Cheltenham. Although he's into the 150s now, which is a negative. I mean, only Native River and Smad Place in the last 10 years have overcome marks in the 150s to win this race. So that's that's he's going to have to improve a fair bit as well. Same with Resplendent Grey. In the £6 he got rise he got to take him into the 150, so he's going to have
yeah,
to overcome that. I mean, you've got other ones like Lowry's Bar, who's got another great profile for it. Victorino, who was third in the race last year, having run a wacky race, was out the back at one point, finished like a chain to finish third. Venetia Williams' form might just be turning a wee bit, so there's dangers everywhere. But I think Myretown, I'd love him to
yeah,
win. The price is going now, Jim. I mean, he's 4 to 1 now. I mean,
yeah.
he's the price has been contracting all week. He just screams Coral Gold Cup winner. Nearly said it there, nearly said it. He just screams Coral Gold Cup winner, doesn't he?
He really does. And he's never been a huge price for this race. I mean, I flagged him up in the Sunday column last week in the Scottish Sun at 8 to 1. I've got 8 to 1 myself. I've got a little bit of nines each way. But I will certainly won't begin in again now that he's down to 5 and 4. I think he might drift a little bit. I think he might go off six. I think he could be the 6 to 1 favourite by start time on Saturday because I think you'll have the morning show on ITV flagging up all sorts of alternatives. The one I'm going to throw in here as an each way bet, I'm certainly not looking to get Myretown beaten here because I think he's got a fantastic chance, and I will be napping this horse on Saturday. So Myretown's going to get the nap vote. But the one I think might have an each way shout is probably the third of the Willie Mullins runners, and that's O'Moore Park. Well down in the weights. He's an 8-year-old now, but I thought he should have won a race at Cheltenham last year if he'd been ridden a little bit cleverly. So O'Moore Park, I think, could run a big race. And if you can get the extended places on Saturday, that would be the one I would throw in each way. But very much Myretown for me. I'm hoping he's going to be ridden very prominently. I know it's a £15 rise. We always talk about the handicap. It's a £15 rise for Cheltenham, but we think he had a lot more in hand than that. So Myretown for me and you, I think, on Saturday in the Coral Gold Cup.
Yeah, we managed to get through it. Well, Jim, we'll go up to Newcastle now. We've got Grade 1 hurdle action with the fighting fifth. Fascinating race. I mean, Constitution Hill, the most talked about horse in racing. I mean, we've had daily updates for Nicky Henderson, who's claimed everything. The horse is fitter than he's ever been, stronger, he's more clever. You know, the only things he's not claimed is that he's started speaking to him and he's doing the Times crossword every morning. The thing is, Jim, we've heard enough about this horse now. We really need to see it now, don't we?
We really need to see it. I mean, Constitution Hill, great horse in his day. We'd all like to see him back. We're all horse lovers, Robert. And I know that Nicky and Nico are telling us that everything's great with him, but we won't know that until he actually appears on the track. Now, this horse, for some reason, couldn't jump last year. So if he's suddenly able to jump again and the engine's working, then we'll see a different horse at Newcastle on Saturday. But everything I've seen in the past, and I did nail my colours to the mast last year, I think that this horse will not regain former glories. But well, there to be proved wrong. He can go and do it in the racecourse on Saturday. He's in against the New Lion, the Skelton Superstar, which was favourite at the start of the week. But I have noticed that Constitution Hill is now jostling for favouritism in that race as we get into Saturday. I think the interesting one is Willie Mullins' Anzadam, unbeaten, 2 races in France, 2 races over in Ireland. I think Mullins, having run Lossiemouth last weekend at Punchestown and laid down a marker there, I think he's sending Anzadam over to lay down a marker in Britain. And I think if there's any horse worth taking a chance on in this race, if you just want to sit and watch it, that's great. See how Constitution Hill gets on, see if the New Line is the real deal. But Anzadam at 100 to 30 on Thursday night, I thought was not a bad bet at all.
Yeah, the thing with Amsterdam, Jim, is we just have no idea how good this thing is, do we? I mean, the Limestone lad that won last year at Naas was a fairly poor race. I mean, only 3 runners. Laffey was well beaten the Greatwood. Beacon Edge is just a handicapper. But visually was so impressive, wasn't he? So impressive that day. So you've no idea. The thing with the New Lion as well, there's a school of thought that he doesn't want to go back to 2 Mile. So,
Yeah.
well, that adds an interesting dimension to it. For me, it's a watch and enjoy race, but I can see where you're coming from with Amsterdam purely because that's the one that we really don't know. He could be
Yeah.
a superstar, so we'll see. We'll go back to chronologically. We'll go back to the start at Newbury. Starts tomorrow on Friday, Jim. We've got the John Frankham Novices Chase over 2 Mile 4 at 150, and I think Kingston Pride in this race has got to have a big chance. I mean, looked a proper horse when it beat Jet to Vegas at Perth last month. Jet to Vegas has come out and been second Ascot last week. I mean, he went off 9 to 2 that day, Kingston Pride, after a long break, which tells you that the stable probably didn't expect him to win with the authority that he won with that day. So I think Kingston Pride, I mean, it's a tough race. I mean, Wadingo obviously only got beat by Wade Out by a head. That one went on and won at Cheltenham under Sean Bowen, a brilliant ride for Sean Bowen. You've got Regent Stroll for Paul Nicholls, who ran really well at Aintree last year. But I just think in the visuals, I just thought Kingston Pride looked a real proper horse that day at Perth. And at 5 to 1, I think he's well worth a bet. And then on Friday's card, Jim, a 2 Mile 4 handicap chase at 225. And I think we both like the same one in that.
We both like the same one here, and it's not an obvious one by the betting, but Heltenham for Dan and Harry Skelton is the one we both like here. Running off a marker 136, he's 3 out of 4 at Newbury, as you pointed out to me. And at Wetherby 2 weeks ago, I just thought he started to show a bit of the old spark. And interestingly, Robert, he's had a wind operation in the meantime. So that was only 2 weeks ago. These wind operations can take various forms. I've actually seen one done in my time. So it'll be interesting to see if that makes a difference. Skeltons certainly know what they're doing in terms of placing horses and handicaps. And like you, I think Heltonham's got a fantastic chance in that 225, running for the first time after wind surgery on Friday.
Yeah, they've got him £6 lower than when he ran in the
Yeah.
race last year as well. So he piqued my interest as well. And then the graded action on Friday's a long distance hurdle where we'll start off with a hoist in your gym, a horse we've talked about far too much in this programme. Finally back over hurdles now. Our colleague Ed Watson has been banging this drum for about 3 or 4 years now. Get him back over hurdles, he'll win a stairs
Yeah.
hurdle. It's 2 years too late now, isn't it?
You would have thought so. He's 10 years old now. He goes down for this grade two at Newbury on Friday. We'd love to see him run well, wouldn't we? We'd love to see him return to something like his old form. But if I'm going to say that Constitution Hill can't come back at 8, I've got to say that Ahoy Senor can't come back at 10. I admire their indefatigability, as someone once said. So good luck to Ahoy Senor down there. Strong Leader was the horse I backed last time, and it took an absolutely miracle ride from Sean Bone to get him home. I'm not going to have a bet on the race this time, but I think you are.
Well, probably not now because the price is gone, but Impose Trois was the one I thought was most interested in this. Solid performer, high level handicaps. You know, he was second at Punchestown, second at Cheltenham, won a handicap on this card last year. So stepped up to 3 mile to win at Aintree earlier this month. So I thought he was the one that you're looking at and think he could maybe take a step forward and make his market graded level. I mean, he's rated just £3 behind Strong Leader, but gets £6 for him as well. So the conditions of the race might suit him. I think Strong Leader, that was a weak race it won last year, was it not?
It
There
was.
was only 4 runners, Flight Deck rated 132. Langer Dan's now being retired after stinking the place out. Mon Mural then got beat by Gowl Road. So I don't think that was a good race last year. I think this is a better race this year. And I'd be very surprised if Impose Trois is knowing, or Impose Trois, who knows, is not involved in the finish. So then Friday, we've also got Musselburgh starting their jump season, so it'd be remiss of
Yeah,
us not to have a good look at that. And I thought the 12:35, 2.5 mile handicap chase, I thought Divas Doyen would have a chance. Back down to its last winning mark. I mean, it's been second a lot of this track. I mean, it's been second 4 times in 6 runs at Musselburgh. But he was really fortunate to be fourth at Kelso last month in a crazy race, which went off at a mad pace. He stuck in behind and there was 3 followers at the second last. He come through, ended up leading. I don't think
yeah,
that was by design. He ended up leading in the fitness toll just coming up the hill in the last half furlong. But this is a horse that's always come on a fair bit for its first run of the season, so I don't think it would take too much of a step forward off its last winning mark to win this at 12:35. And then the 1:38, Nicky Richards Lowlands, I thought was very interesting in
yeah,
the Mears Handicap Hurdle. Ran a good race against Absolutely Doyen at Sedgefield. That one came out and won at Ascot a couple of
did.
weeks ago. What was it, last weekend? That
Yeah.
off 115. Lowland starts out in handicaps off 99. You'd like to think she'd be a bit better than that for Nicky Richards. Magnolia, obviously going to be hard to beat. Due to go up to 121 after winning at Kelso, but runs under a penalty here, so be £4 well in. So Magnolia and Lowlands, I think, will fight at the finish there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Lowlands off 99 has got enough to get over the line there. And 2:13, Jim at Musselburgh, a 2 mile handicap chase, and you've got one in that.
213, I think you'd
Oh,
mentioned my
sorry, I do.
Portia in
I
that
do,
one
yeah.
for Laura Morgan, but I can totally see who you're coming from with Brian Hughes on there. I mean, Laura Morgan's record at Musselburgh is absolutely fantastic, and she does like getting Brian Hughes on some of our better handicapped horses, and he'll be going without his breakfast to do that way. But good luck to Laura with my Portia. I know you fancy that to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think our stable's in great form as well. I mean, form
Yeah,
figures of 1, 1, 2, 2, 7 pulled up in two this month. So, I mean, it's three seconds and 2 winners from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runners. So she's in great form. As you say, with Brian Hughes on, they had a great partnership here a few years
yeah,
ago. Everything that she brought up was winning. So I think my Portia will have a great chance. Prospect House is one that will go in for Peter Niven at some point, but just keeps running too well, keeps finishing second, and the handicapper's not giving him any respite. Inspire Hope for Rebecca Menzies in the same race has run quite well in listed events. The Menzies stable's coming back into form, but I just think my Portia might just have the edge in this one. And then we'll go on to 320, Jim, where you do have one. And if I
I
could read my
do.
books
I do have
properly,
one
I
here,
would know
and I'm
that.
good. This is my one bet at Musselburgh on Friday. And I know that Lucinda Russell and Michael Scudamore run three in this race. They've got two old pals up at the top of the handicap. They've also got that old Musselburgh favourite, Rory the Cat, which Jack Power rides. And they've also got Snow Dragon in here, which is going to be the mount of Gregor Walkinshaw. And because of the conditions of this race, on top of his £7, he gets an extra three, so he claims £10 off this Snow Dragon. Now, he has ridden it before, so there shouldn't be any problem there. Very lightly raced 4-year-old. Finished third at Perth 5 weeks ago. I thought that was a nice run. Up to 2.5 here. Has run well here twice in the past, over 2 miles. And Gregor, I saw him at Ayr a few weeks ago. He's a big lad. I'm not sure for how long he'll be able to keep that weight off. He's a big, big lad. But he can claim that £10 at the moment. I think that's going to be invaluable on Friday. And I haven't looked at the betting for this yet, Robert, but the very fact that Jack Powers on Rory the Cat suggests they might fancy that a little bit back at Musselburgh. But just Snow Dragon with Gregor taking off 10. 4-year-old also gets a little bit of an allowance in this race as well. Snow Dragon for me in the 320 at Musselburgh on Friday before we move back to an absolutely sensational Saturday.
Well, have you not got one at Sutherland Friday?
I was going to throw in one at Southall on Friday, and that's on the flat, and that's a horse called Solarize, which is trained by Charlie Johnson, who up until last weekend was striking at something like 70%. He's had a few runners at big prices since then that haven't quite kept that percentage rate as high as it had been. But Solarize on a hat trick here. Could have run in what I thought was an easier race at Wolverhampton on Saturday, but goes to Southall on Friday at 6:15. £4 rise. Danny Muscat in the saddle, and I think Solarize can complete the hat trick. Thanks for the reminder there.
Yeah. Well, we'll go back to Saturday, Newbury,
Yep.
where at 12:30 we've got the Sir Peter O'Sullivan handicap chase. So Nicky Henderson will have his funny hat on, as usual. He always seems to wear the funny hat for that race. And as everybody knows, I love the Sue Smith yard, Joe Parkinson. And I caught my eye that Prairie Wolf was declared for this morning. So I went and looked back, and Sue Smith has only had four runners at Newbury since
Right.
2009. One of them was Midnight Shadow, who went on to win a
Yep.
Paddy Power.
Yep.
Cloudy 2 ran there twice. He won a Peter Marsh, who was second in a Grade 1. And Phil the Power running the Charlo once for her, who ended up in the mid-30s. So they only send horses down here if they think they're pretty good.
Yep.
So I just thought Prairie Wolf was a very, very interesting entry in that race. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that one. But you've got one in the race against us.
Yeah, there were two horses that caught my eye in this race, Robert, and like you, I'll be looking forward to seeing Nicky wearing Peter Sullivan's old hat that I think he bought at an auction one year. Leader in the Park is a horse that Ben Pauling really likes, and I know he was very, very keen to get Ben Jones back for this. Now he was interviewed on Sky Sports Racing the other day, and he said that Ben should be back Friday and Saturday. So if Ben's riding Leader in the Park, keep an eye out for that. But the one I think I'll be looking for in the market here is Booster Bob. Given the ride of the century by Sean Bowen to win at Newbury last season, it goes up to 2 miles, 6.5 furlongs here, having won that day at 2.5. Hasn't gone up too much in the handicap at all, which I thought was surprising. Maybe that's because he came from so far back last time. But Booster Bob, I think they'll have this one ready first time out. It's a race that a lot of these trainers want to win. Sir Peter O'Sullivan, such a respected guy in the past, of course. And Booster Bob will be the one for me. But yeah, I get where you're coming from with Prairie Wolf. Those Parkinson Smith horses are really performing.
They're flying at the moment, aren't they?
And
And
the
then,
other one I like on Saturday before the big one is in the 2.5 mile handicap hurdle at 140, and that's French Ship. I think it's a horse that you tipped up a few weeks ago and it won well. Missed the race last weekend. Harry Cobden rides because Ben Jones, who was due to ride, is now going to ride Personal Ambition for Ben Pauling in the same race. But Harry Cobden is no problem a substitute for me. If Sean Bowen wasn't riding out of his skin, we'd all be talking about Harry because I've noticed he's been riding some fantastic races recently. He'll do for me for Hobbs and Johnson White on French Ship. I don't think it's too harshly treated here. 2.5 miles round Newbury. I'm not expecting a huge price, Robert, but I'm happy to back it. French Ship 140.
and then the last race at Newbury, 2 mile handicap chase. I'm going to be with another northern horse going south. Again, another trainer that doesn't go down there too much, Nicky Richards, who takes
Yeah,
who takes Doyen Dubar down there. Nicky's only had six runners there since 2009, so very un-Nicky thing to do with a horse's first run to take it to that kind of level, that kind of track. But I mean, Doyen Dubar is a classy animal, and if Booster Bob wins it earlier on in the card, it'll just give this one's form an even further boost because this is a horse who's beat the Kaluki Kid before. He beat Booster Bob before. He was second at Sandown last year to Vincenzo, who was second in the Paddy Power. And then to put the cherry on the top, Nicky's booked Harry Cobden for it. So
yeah.
there's a lot of boxes ticked here for me. Doyen de Bar, a horse we've talked about, switched with Pauline Robson now that she's finished training to Nicky Richards. I think Nicky might get a wee bit of improvement out of this horse. It's already a classy animal, but I think Nicky could maybe take this horse to the next level. So Doyen de Bar, fascinating contender in the 335.
Yeah, very much your selection there, Robert. But I'm with you on this because I was waiting myself to see if this horse was declared, and I really hope it can show them what it can do.
Yeah. And then we'll go up to Newcastle, Jim, where I'll start off at the 12:15. Breeze River, I thought was a big eye catcher at Weatherby the
Yeah,
last time.
it was.
Switched for Paul Robson's stable to Tristan Davidson. The change of scenery seems to have freshened it up a fair bit. I mean, Paul won a really good race at Kelso last year, won the Simply Ned weight last year. The horse kind of just went off a cliff after that. Sometimes just a simple change of scenery, maybe a change of training regime just brings a horse back to life. I think this one might be one of those cases. Fast finishing third over hurdles the last time. Just got it sparked back over 2 miles. Stepping back up to 2 mile 4 here is far more up his street. Now this is a horse who was running in chases off 135
Yeah.
12 months ago. He's in here off 117 because his form hasn't stacked up. But if he's back to the sparky horse he looked at Weatherby a few weeks ago, I think he'll take some beating off a mark of 117.
Yeah, I noticed that Joel Parkinson and Sue Smith had grand jest in that race as well. So it's a fascinating race. But like you, I think Breeze River going back to that old form, and certainly Tristan Davison can train them, Robert, under both codes. So fascinating to see that one. The one I fancy in the next race is the French Furs Novices Hurdle, named after a horse of Nicky Richards' dad's, Gordon, who trained the French Furs many years ago. And this Novices Hurdle has been named after that horse for quite a while. He was quite a Newcastle specialist back in the day. And the horse I like here is Just Golden for Dan and Harry Skelton, who, of course, later on in the card will be running the New Line, as we've already talked about on the programme. But Just Golden, I thought, ran really nicely first time out, up to 2 3/4. He's a stare by Fleming's-Firth. I think he'll be well suited by this trip. And despite the fact that Russell and Scudamore run a very nice horse called Out of the Woods here, and Parkinson and Smith run Get On George, I think Just Golden is going to be the one to be on in that French Furs at 12:50. We've mentioned the Fighting Fifth, obviously, at 2 o'clock, but I think that whatever happens to the Skelton horse there, I think they'll have a double with Brace for Landing in the 2:35. It's a handicap hurdle worth 30,000 quid. Now, this is a 4-year-old which has managed to get a handicap mark with a third place in a novice hurdle at Stratford. And by the way I'm looking at the declarations for this, Robert, he's frightened quite a lot of them away because this looked very competitive at the 6-day stage. And it now could be a fairly straightforward task for Brace for Landing for the Skeltons if unless there's money for anything else. And the one that there could be money for, of course, could be the Tony Martin horse, Hamsian. But I'm assuming that Brace for Landing is going to be favourite, and I'll probably be quite happy to go along with that. And then when we get to the rehearsal chase, I know that you fancy one here for the Skeltons, but I'm going to go against them here with a horse called Jasmine de Grugy for that man Anthony Honeyball, who I thought came across really well in various interviews this week, both on TV and in the written press. And I think that Jasmine de Grugy, back after that second at Punchestown in May, has a really good chance in this rehearsal chase. But I know you fancy the Skeltons ones here.
Yeah, I think you think they might have a double. I think they might have a treble. Deafening Silence. It's former Heracles Westwood at Windsor from January. Got a right boost when that one was second at the November meeting, ran a great race. So that kind of drew me towards that. I can see the point with Jasmine de Grugy. I mean, real improver and second at Punchestown behind Bill Baxter. Few winners
Yeah.
in behind that day as well. And I think the good groundle at Newcastle, I don't think they're due too much rain. I think Newbury's going to get a fair bit. We never talked about that earlier. I think
Yeah.
Newbury is going to get battered with rain on Saturday by the forecast, but Newcastle, I think, will be on good ground. Jasmine de Grugy, I like that. But the Skeltons are farming these races. Just these races worth kind of 30, 40 grand. They're just farming them, aren't they? And I just
They
think,
really are. And yeah, deafening silence. I can see the profile there. I just thought Jasmine de Grugy could have been worse handicapped. I think he's slightly better off than he was at Punchestown. You know how the Irish stick a few extra pounds on the English horses going over there. But Jasmine de Grugy impressed me even in defeat last season. So I'm going to stick with that one. But yeah, good luck with deafening silence.
I think it's one for the reverse forecast, Jim.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Well, obviously, we have to mention the Irish stuff on Sunday.
Yeah.
Fantastic card at Fairyhouse with the Dinmore, where you've got Romeo Coolio against Slade Steele, the Supreme winner, who's been off for nearly a year. You've got Cool Cody entered in that race, Scottish National winner. You've got Gold Dancer, who beat Westport Cove at Galway. So, I mean, that's a high-class chase. But Romeo Coolio looked like the real deal so far over fences, you think?
So far, and like you, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to get right into it in the Sunday column in the Scottish Sun on Sunday. It's a meeting I've been to a few times, this Drinmore meeting, and obviously the Hatton's Grace hurdle there as well, with Tihapu coming back out in Ballyburn. That's a fascinating encounter as well. They've got the Royal Bond Novices hurdle, which always throws up a decent horse, and there's a fascinating 3 3/4 mile handicap chase. It's called the Porterstown. That's at 105. And I'm just waiting for declarations for that, Robert, because I think St Denis's Well could be very, very interesting in that. Not quite nailing my colours to the mast yet. I'll wait and see the declarations, but I thought it won well last time. They know when this horse is right. They certainly thought it was right last time. Ian Donoghue, it's Keith Donoghue, the jockey's brother. He's a very good trainer. I think he knows the time of day, and I'll be looking out for the declarations for this race for St Denis's Well. But as I say, more on this in the column on Sunday. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. It should be a cracking meeting at Fairyhouse on Sunday. And of course, we'll be at Carlisle as well.
Yeah, lower key stuff at Carlisle. But there's one I'm interested in. I mean, it's a horse I put up before, Al Khalila for
Yeah.
the Crawfords. Put it up at Kelso when it was beaten 3 lengths by Cadell. I thought they gave away a lot of ground that day. They went wide the whole way around. Cadell stuck to the inside. Got the first run after the last and was away and gone. But he's up £2 for that. But I saw enough in that race to think there's a bit more to come there. But my angle into it at Kelso was this Fairyhouse race. It was fourth in, and that
Yeah.
continued to work out well. The second and
Yeah.
fifth both went close in races last week. Sorry. So I think Al Khalila was its chase debut at Kelso that day. I think it's entitled to learn a wee bit. The £2 isn't great, but I don't think that makes too much difference over 3 miles. So Al Khalila, I'll be going in again on that one, I think, depending on the price on Sunday at Carlisle, if it's declared.
Yeah. And of course, we're a wee bit ahead of the game here. Obviously, looking ahead to Sunday. We know what's running Friday or Saturday. We're just a wee bit ahead of the game in terms of Sunday. So check those declarations for Sunday when they come out on Friday morning or Friday lunchtime.
That's great, Jim. Thanks very much. Good luck this weekend, folks.
Yeah, good luck this weekend, folks. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button. You know you want to.